Dr. Wayne Topping is a New Zealander with a doctorate in geology from Victoria University in Wellington. In 1977, Wayne became a Touch for Health instructor and by 1980 decided to train as a biokinesiologist. For 30 years, Dr. Topping had a home base in Bellingham, Washington, while he taught kinesiology classes in 23 countries. In the late 1990s, he founded Wellness Kinesiology, and he has now developed more than 24 wellness kinesiology classes. In 2000, Wayne became one of the 3 International Kinesiology College faculty members for Touch for Health in the United States. In 2010, Wayne moved to the United Kingdom to get married and to establish the Wellness Kinesiology Institute. He is also currently IKC faculty for Russia and Hungary. But right now, Wayne's going to tell us about the Personal Development School from his point of view. Wayne.
Thank you, Sylvia. Okay, so we're talking about the role of the Personal Development School. Now, the idea of the Personal Development School was first conceived at an IKC conference which took place in Cork, Ireland. Jack Casey was the one primarily responsible for putting this particular conference together. I remember Sylvia was there, quite a number of others from Australia, Irene, who's on with us as well. This was back in September the 2nd of 2009. And at that particular conference, Jack Casey, Sandy Gannon, who died within the last couple of years, she was UK faculty for Touch for Health, Amy Choi from Hong Kong, myself, I was living in the United States at that time, and Dominique Minette, who was IKC faculty for Belgium. And the group of us got together and formed the Personal Development School. Now, at that time, it was mentioned, and I looked through the minutes, the comment was made that Tony Lilly last year had said that we should start bringing other kinesiologies into the IKC and start growing the IKC. Because at that time, the IKC consisted of the Personal Development School Board, and within the Personal Development School Board was Touch for Health. Our first meeting took place, apart from the inaugural meeting, September 2nd, May the 4th of 2010. And at that time, we elected Chair Casey as a dean. And you'll notice that everyone else present there were the ones present at that initial meeting, because even though we asked for other people to step up to the block, no one was really interested at that time. Now, at that same inaugural meeting, we put together a mission statement which said to provide a vehicle for international recognition, spread, support, and access for kinesiologies based on the educational model in a win-win situation. Then in the 31st of March, we added in the self-responsibility. So we're interested in kinesiologies based on self-responsibility and the educational model. And the idea was that we're going to go live in late 2010, because we figured it'd take a few meetings to get everything sorted out before we went public. Now, at that initial meeting, we were looking at what were the advantages of having a personal development school. One is the preservation and protection of the course material, because sometimes people die and course material gets lost. So this provides a home for it so that it doesn't get lost for future generations. International recognition of the courses. Because someone might develop a course in Ireland, for example, but by becoming part of the Personal Development School Board, having it through the PDS, then suddenly people all around the world get to know about this particular class. Courses can also be used for continuing education for Touch for Health instructors in all countries. Because after you've been a Touch for Health instructor for a number of years, it gets a little bit boring just repeating Touch for Health. So sometimes it's nice to take something a little bit different, just to stretch your boundaries a little bit more. That's something that's relevant to Touch for Health. Centralized marketing, centralized downloading of numbered certificates, quality control, and central administration. And so those were some of the advantages we saw that we could offer through the Personal Development School at that time. At that time, we already recognized 2 different roles. One was that eventually the Personal Development School would have its own schools with faculty and independent bylaws, just such as Touch for Health has, and individual courses. And at that time, we decided that they were all to be kinesiology based, although later we changed that. So the Personal Development School then was to offer an umbrella organization, a home as it were, and recognition of independent workshops, courses, programs. And they could be anywhere from just a few hours, so some of them are maybe 3 hours long, to full diploma programs. So very broad spectrum. Now, at the International Kinesiology Conference, AGM in Hungary, it's interesting because we just had one in Hungary just last month, but in August of 2011, it was decided that the Touch for Health School, which at that time had been under the Personal Development School, would separate and be under the IKC. So that then left the Personal Development School to start approving courses and eventually to develop schools like the Touch for Health School. Now, if we go to the website, this is what you'll read by way of benefits of the joining the IKC Personal Development School with your particular programs. Would have international IKC certificates with unique numbers on them, like a personal identification number linked with a database, the same way we used to have in Touch for Health a number of years ago. That database would be kept of all students throughout the world, regardless of who the instructor was. So it's a centralized database that isn't concerned about if people die off, and so the information isn't lost. Also, listing on the IKC website with a link to your own website, so you start getting international recognition. The ability to advertise your courses on the IKC website, and the use of the IKC logo on any approved course materials. And another big advantage we saw is that the work is protected in the event of the death or incapacity of the registered applicant. So if you've developed courses and you were to die, then your courses are not lost, but remain available for the world. And a one-time endorsement fee, no annual fees required following approval of the classes. Now, as I said, these were to be kinesiology-based classes initially, requiring muscle biofeedback. And then we added in also another division, which would include non-kinesiology-based classes. And Jackie has quite a number of those, for example, which she can talk about later on. But as I said, there are two major defining roles or guidelines for these classes. They had to be within the self-responsibility model and in the educational model. And the self-responsibility model we define as a non-medical approach to health and well-being that does not diagnose, treat, or prescribe. It's an approach that facilitates and empowers the client to take responsibility for their health and well-being. And with the COVID over the last 2.5 years, you can see this fits in very nicely because people couldn't always depend on the medical establishment for health. They had to do things for themselves. And then the other aspect, the classes have to be within the educational model, which aims to provide the participant with tools and methods for self-help, stress management, and ongoing personal development. So those are the two major criteria that all courses have to meet. And going from the website again, when we on the Personal Development School Board are evaluating and looking at courses for approval, what we want to find out is that the classes are offering tools that students can learn to use for themselves, so that the participant in the classes is being able to facilitate change as a result of what they learn. The courses and workshops should be non-discriminatory in terms of ethnicity, gender, personalities, belief systems, background, and personal circumstances. And the participants, again, should be learning tools to allow them to handle stress, tools that allow them to develop personally in various aspects. The manual should be written in clear, understandable language. And we on the board, as we evaluate these courses, in particular looking at certain things such as, is there a table of contents, numbered pages, bibliography, adequate referencing of source materials, clarity, visual appearance, etc. So there's certain criteria that we look at, and the courses have to meet our approval in those areas. Sometimes we'll get back to people and say, well, it really wasn't clear enough in this area, we need to have a bit more referencing, etc. Now, you might wonder what the prices are, and this is off the website, but these are the current prices. If you're submitting a workshop of 2 days in duration, you can expect to pay 135 euros as the fee for us to evaluate and look at the course. If the courses are up to 8 days in duration, then we have a fee of 180 euros. And beyond 8 days, so from 9 to 16 days, an additional 15 euros per day. And if you go above 17 days, then it's 750 per day. So that gives you a ballpark idea. So this is not a large amount of money, considering the work has to be done to evaluate these courses. Now, if you go to the website, this looks very much like the early Touch for Health IKC website, an account login where you put your username and password and then log in. If you're a faculty member or trainer of a particular kinesiology stream, same thing, username and password, log into the website. Then once you get to the website, you've got a place where you can scroll through, select a particular instructor that you're interested in taking classes from, or if you like, you can then you can also take the name of the class, go through the scroll here, punch on that, and see which people teach that particular class and find out where those classes are being offered. So, for example, I took Catherine North just as an example. If we went in there, we find that she offers Color for Life, level 2, level 3, and then Foundation level 1. And then we've got a Soul Power Advanced level 4, level 5, level 6, Soul Power Basic level 2, level 3, etc. So all those classes would show up. And then if you're interested in Soul Power Basic level 3, you click on Find a Class, and then you find out what classes Catherine had available, when they're going to be taking place, that type of thing. So I decided to take Adam Lehman as an example. So here's maybe you're interested in holographic touch for health. And we want to find out which classes Adam is teaching. When you click on Find a Class, you find out that he was in Budapest last month teaching holographic touch for health. So then we can click on view the full details, and it tells us that the class was being held in Hungary, August the 13th, 14th. Adam was teaching it, and here's Adam's phone number, his website, and his email. So once you have a course that's been approved by the IKC, then you get a chance to be featured like this on the IKC website, so people have a way to find out how to contact you and when you're offering classes and when your different instructors are offering classes as well. Now, I thought I'd finish this section off just by going through and showing you the courses that have already been approved. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One is to show that there's a lot of courses already being approved, and they're from people from all around the world. So Elwina Owen is in the UK, and she's got 4 different classes so far, Attuning to Full Potential. Gia Casey, Color Matters, has just been approved. Isabel, Emotional Star. Then Cameron Dawson. Cameron has died. He died in Canada a number of years ago. Then his wife was one that submitted these courses. So we have Dawson 1, 2, and 3 have been approved. Anne Keller de Wild is in Switzerland. She has a course, The 4 Temperaments in the 5 Elements. Adam Lehman, Holographic Touch for Health, Holographic Touch for Health 2. Irene Locke, 5 Elements, Posture and Reflexes. Irene's in the UK.
Lexuri Peinado, and the course is called Apoyo Emocional con Kinesiología y Cuentos, Emotional Awareness with Kinesiology and Stories.
Thank you, Pablo. Now,
You're welcome.
Jackie, Lots of classes, embracing mistakes instructors, hangout facilitated workshop, hangout facilitated update, making the invisible visible, making the invisible visible assessment, touch valve new instructor hangout, touch valve student hangout, touch valve and practice hangout, touch valve instructor hangout, student-centered learning. And these have been wonderful, particularly during COVID, because these allowed people to be able to take training and to learn some some Zoom-related skills at a time when we couldn't be meeting face-to-face. So Jackie's been very active in developing those classes. Sylvia, Return to Love facilitated, transforming DNA memories facilitated training. Now another one, Pablo.
This is my course.
Yes.
It's called TMJ Dysfunction.
Hazel Miller, Mentoring for Touch for Health. Dominic Manette, Core Energy 1, 2, and 3. Evelyn Moulders, Western Herbs for Eastern Meridians and 5-element theory. Evelyn's from Canada. Catherine North from New Zealand. I won't read them all, but quite a number of classes that she's been developing over the years. Michael O'Brien.
Anamdracht, Magical Celtic Soul.
Sharon Promislo, Making the Brain-Body Connection, 10 Steps to Lasting Change.
Vicente Clavería en Quintilla, AK Fusion 1.
Equilibraciones energéticas, habilidades para el cambio, psicoenergética integrativa 1, 2 y 3 y recuperar el potencial innato 1, 2 y 3.
Energy balances, skills for the change, integrative psychoenergetics 1, 2, and 3, and recover innate potential 1, 2, and 3.
I've submitted 17 courses. Well, I'm in the process doing so. The ones that have been approved so far: biokinetic exercises, 8 extra meridians, energy centers, giving your life meaning, and working with emotions. Anyway, so we went through that just to give you an idea of the scope, the sorts of courses that have been presented, and you can see we've got a lot from Spain, we've got some from Australia, Ireland, Canada, all over. Anyway, so I'll just open up to any questions we might have now.
You mentioned that once your courses have been approved by the Personal Development School, they can be used by continuing education. Who decides that? Who decides which courses will be suitable for continuous education?
Yeah, that's a good question, Pablo. That's up to the faculty of the country. So you're faculty for Spain, so you get to decide of all the classes that have been approved by the IKC, by the Personal Development School, which ones would be suitable as continuing education, because some of them clearly would not be because they're too far removed from Touch for Health. If I look at my classes, for example, I could say biokinetic exercises would, because it's a natural continuation of Touch for Health, but most of the others, their content's too far removed from Touch for Health, so I wouldn't use the others. Whereas Jackie's, we could have Jackie come in and present all of hers, because these are ways of communicating with the students and things like that. So that would, any of her classes would fit in nicely as continuing education. Okay, any other questions? Yes, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. I noticed Sandy Gannon was on the PDS board and involved from the very start, and I also know that she created some workshops herself, and I'm just wondering, was there ever any consideration of putting those courses into the PDS?
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned Sandy, because Sandy died a couple of years ago, and I was aware of 2 classes, I believe, that she'd developed, and she'd talked about submitting them to the PDS, but didn't quite get around to it. Now, what we're doing in retrospect, and she used to joke, actually, she said, sounds like PDS is school for dead authors. Well, it's rather ironic because she's now dead, and Jeff, her husband, wants her classes to be approved by the PDS so that her memory lives on in those classes that she's put together. So the PDS will be in the process of going through evaluating those and getting those approved, which would be great. Any other questions? Yes, Irene.
Irene.
Yes, Wayne, what are the main things that you look for when you're evaluating the courses? Like, you've listed a whole heap of things there, but what are the key things that you look for?
Well, one is we want to find out how much of the material comes from the person themselves. Like I heard Marion say, for example, that she's interested in submitting a class. So when we look at, we need to find out how much of that material is original, how much has come from Touch for Health, how much has come from wellness, how much has come from elsewhere. And we should be able to see a clear delineation, because some of the classes we've looked at, we don't know, well, what's original here? We want to know what was your original contribution in this work. And then also we need to make sure there's enough referencing, because when students take your class, we're hoping that they will get really inspired by some of what you teach, and that they then want to follow the paper trail and go back to original source material. But you can't do that if there's inadequate referencing in a lot of these classes, but we're now trying to raise the standard and make it a lot more professional in that sense. So there's two of the things we're looking for: adequate referencing and knowing what's the original contribution, make sure there's no plagiarism, that type of thing.
At this point in time, I'm going to just close off the questions for a few moments so that we can hear from Jackie. So Jackie is an international faculty in the personal development and professional schools within the International Kinesiology College, and she has taught Touch for Health and Wellness kinesiology classes since 2002. To facilitate the IKC community in 2018, Jackie developed an instructor peer-to-peer online community to practice called Touch for Health Hangouts as part of the Teaching for Learning series. She also recently began a doctorate in education with the Institute of Education at Dublin City University, where she will be investigating professional learning. We're really, really happy to have Jackie with us and to bring all her skills and to help us, all of us, upskill and become better at our student-centered learning, because it's not just a matter of lecturing, it's a matter of being totally involved and having our students involved as well. One of the things that in the personal development school is that we're always looking at ways that we can support our authors. And the authors have put their trust in us to have a safe place for their courses, but we don't want them just to sit somewhere. We want all the authors to have some exposure for their courses if that's what they would like to have. And so we tried to develop a newsletter. And it was interesting because we had so many problems with our website at that point in time. The newsletter didn't go out. And I said, don't worry about the newsletter. There's obviously something else. And Jackie and I spent quite some time sitting down, putting our heads together and saying, well, both of us are authors, what would we like? And so what was created was Meet the Authors. And it's been so well supported. And Jackie's going to talk about it now because we're just so passionate about it. Go, Jackie.
Thank you, Sylvia. So what is Meet the Authors? Meet the Authors, it's a get-together every 2 months, and it's open to everybody. It's hosted by, so far it's been hosted by Sylvia, our PDS Dean, but in Sylvia's absence, we will ask one of the board members to host it. So it's basically a 2-monthly get-together. And the format is, we start off very similar to today with introductions of everybody present, and we invite 2 authors to contribute to each Meet the Authors session. And the authors have 15 minutes at their disposal to tell us about their work, and I'll talk more about what they can do. So it's usually they choose to do 10 minutes of a presentation, sometimes with PowerPoint, sometimes with an interactive activity, but the format is very much up to them. So they might do 10 minutes and then leave 5 minutes over for questions and answers, but it's 15 minutes. And like what happened in some cases, if people have an awful lot to tell us, we might have to invite them back on another occasion, and that quite often is the case. And the nice thing with the Meet the Authors is that the presentations are videoed, and those videos then are posted to the PDS website so that the people who cannot come and join us live on the presentation can view it in their own time. And also people who are there quite often like to go back and look at that as well. And this is an idea of, in case you're not familiar with our PDS website, on my PowerPoint there, there, I have both the email for the PDS Dean at ikcinfo.org, and the website address is ikc-info.org. If people are familiar with the main IKC website on IKC Global, you can also get in through that route by clicking on the tab on the top page for the Personal Development School. And when you go into this PDS website, if you look down the left-hand side, you will see a link that says video links, and that is where you will find the videos for the Meet the Authors. But anybody who registers or anybody who attends, you will receive an email to let you know when those are live. And it's usually, Pablo is our superhero with videos, and along with Ger, gets those put up for us, usually within maybe something like 2 weeks. So listen, going back to the Meet the Authors and our original vision, you'll see our tagline there, unity with diversity. In the Personal Development School, we have a lot of diverse authors with diverse materials, as we heard from Wayne, kinesiology and now non-kinesiology courses that meet with the educational and self-responsibility models. But within that diversity, we wanted to create unity, and this was one of our driving ideas. And as a board, we sat down earlier this year and said, what do we want? And our vision was to inclusively learn, understand, expand, and discover new opportunities or solutions with and from each other. So that's what we started with, and those wordings are on the PDS website on the homepage. So our goals then, or the purpose, was to meet the authors. So we wanted to get to know our authors as people. So who are they personally and professionally? And that's been quite, eye-opening with the presentations we've had so far. Of course, we wanted to learn about their work. And my own experience is hearing the authors speak, I'm going, oh my gosh, I really would like to take that course, is quite often the feeling that you get once you get it explained. Because up to that, you really only have the title, and that often doesn't do it complete justice. And we also want to learn and understand why they developed this work. And the whole purpose behind all of this is to build and support our PDS community. It started last March, and we had every 2 months, so we've had 4 so far, Meet the Author sessions, and a total of 55 participants, and growing each time. And I'll just give you a little bit of participant feedback, and I'm only just going to read out the bits in bold. But Irene, who's on today from Australia, said you learn what is new or to explore additional skills for your toolbox. So that's something all of us can benefit from. Pablo, also on today, explained that we can share our knowledge in courses, and also referred to the connections that we make by gathering and being together. And Sandrine from Scotland said, every presentation is a surprise and a discovery. She refers to the variety in the presentations and finishes by saying it is enriching, inspiring, and full of promises. And who wouldn't want that? Everybody is welcome to these sessions, not just IKC people. And how can you join a session? So there's 3 different ways to get involved in joining. One is you can email pds.dean, and we will add you to the invite list. So you'll literally get an email into your inbox when the session is coming up and open for registration. Or you can follow social media. So the IKC on Facebook and Instagram, International Kinesiology College, if anybody isn't on that and you want the details, you can email us and we will send you a link. But by going on there, we always get the events of Meet the Authors posted on the social media. And we invite you to please share this with your instructors, your facilitators, your students, friends and family, basically everybody. And the third way is going onto the homepage of the PDS website. This is in the very first paragraph. There's a click here button, and you can go on there, and that brings you into a Google document where at all times you can find the link for the next one that's coming up once it's been set up and posted. PDS authors, if you're an author, we want to learn about your workshops, and we're now taking bookings for 2023. So please get in touch, drop us an email or get in touch. And just letting you know, the next one that's coming up is on the 9th of November, when we will have Sylvia talking about her workshop, Return to Love. And our second presenter will be Mike O'Brien, talking about Andrea's Magical Celtic Soul cards and his workshop that he developed on that. Again, you can email the PDS Dean email for details on that. And that's my presentation, Sylvia.
Oh, Becky, you put a lot of work into it. Thank you so much, and delivered it beautifully. And thanks for the PowerPoint so that we can track along with you. Brilliant. Thank you so much. In my 30 seconds, my role as the Dean is to answer to the Executive Board. There's an Executive Board at the IKC, and we meet once a month. And to run the PDS board meetings, to do the agenda, to do all the follow-ups on that. However, I'm a person who allocates jobs, and I think that that's one of the best things that you can have as a leader, is to learn what exactly you're responsible for and what you can pass on to somebody else. It's interesting. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had an event online, and I got Pablo to be involved. And I said at the end of it, thank you very much, Pablo. You've just passed your apprenticeship. You're ready. If ever there's a time when I can't host one of these shows, you're ready to do that. Jackie's done lots of work on this. Wayne, of course, he's been working online for a long time. But that's the thing. Give people experiences so that they're ready. But my role also is to liaise with kinesiologists, and when we're at a conference is to find out who it is, who in the audience, if possible, is interested or has already written courses, who is looking for a place to put those courses, and what we as the personal development school can offer them. And that's the very thing that Wayne has been telling you about this evening. And also to accept the applications and then allocate it to a team to look at those applications. There's never just one person that looks at it. And so we have a team and we look at it, look at your application, see if you've ticked all the boxes. And we can also see now going forward that we can even help the authors and make that an easier process. Also with the Dean's role, I get to talk to you and I get to meet all of you. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And the more of our team that can come online, the better it is. So in the Personal Development School, we have myself, Sylvia Marina, we have Jer Casey. She's also the president of the IKC. Her passion though, her great passion is the Personal Development School, and she loves to come on with that. So she is our minute taker. Wayne is active, Pablo is active, Jackie is active, as is Thomas Holvert, who is also the Dean of the Professional School. So in the IKC, we have the three schools, the Touch for Health School, the Professional School, and the Personal Development School. And as Wayne said, at one time, the Touch for Health School sat within the Personal Development School. It came to a point where it grew to be a big growing up adult, the Touch for Health School. And so it moved out to stand on its own feet. And with the discussion of that came a place to bring more schools and invite people who have 20 or more days of accredited work, accredited with the IKC, to actually, if they wish, apply to have a school within the Personal Development School. So Wayne is now scurrying around, getting all of his courses accredited, as is Sylvia Marina, and as is Francesca, and several other people. So over the next 2 years, you will see so much happening in the Personal Development School, where they're working. It's a very busy little board. I want to say thank you so much. Any last word, Wayne?
No, you did wonderful. You covered all the bases. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie?
No, well done, everybody.
Good. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming this evening.